Welcome to Ministry Mondays with Meg. I'm Meg. Who am I today? I am Reverend Meg Biddle. I am Reverend Meg Biddle every day, but apparently today especially. I am the National Coordinator of Ministry Life, and I serve the ABHMS, the American Baptist Home Mission Societies, in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. But today I'm at my house. So welcome to all of our viewers and our listeners. We are glad that you are here. Ministry Mondays is talking about ministries that go on beyond that Sunday morning service. Because I believe that's just a teeny tiny piece of ministry. Today, I have brought to you my guest. My guest is not me, so I'll take my name down. My guest is Pastor, Reverend, I didn't ask. I know Pastor Travis Ball from First Baptist Church in Parsons, Kansas. Pastor Travis, welcome to the show. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the club.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Glad to have you here. So we met at the Prairie Pastors Gathering, I believe. Was this past year your first
Yeah.
year?
This was my first year at Prairie Pastors.
Okay.
And then we were able to bump into one another again at the annual gathering.
Right, because I apparently lost an email address, which happens. Anyway, glad that we reconnected and so glad
Yes.
that you are here. So not everybody knows who you are or knows where Parsons, Kansas is. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about who you are, where you serve, what you do?
Okay. Okay. Well, I have served First Baptist Church here in Parsons for this is 5 years right now. And so I always describe where Parsons is as, if you take a look at Kansas, which is a big rectangle, we are literally right here at the corner. We are 30 minutes from Oklahoma, 30 minutes from Missouri, and about 45 from Arkansas. So we're centralized in this 4-state area, which is really kind of nice for access. But
I did not know that.
Nowhere.
I did not know that. I mean, I know Michigan does their whole, like their hand
Oh
thing.
yeah.
That's really cool that you can do that too. But I didn't realize that it was like that with the 4-state.
Yeah.
Okay, and you've been there 5 years.
Yep.
Okay.
And so actually I started out in education. I was a sign language interpreter. My wife and I were, and we both know sign language. Her parents are actually deaf. And so been using sign language, even ever since before I knew her. I took it as a foreign language and did it in church and everything else. But started doing that vocationally after college, and was actually attending here since 2011. And throughout that process of a search and call season, the team came to me, and I was helping with a Bible study on Wednesdays and Sunday school on Sundays and doing some stuff with the youth. And they said, your name came up in prayer, and we just really want to know if you would be willing to entertain the idea of putting your name in the hat with the other candidates that are running. And I was partially privy to that situation, knowing that there was 3 or 4 other candidates. And so I went home, prayed for it, prayed about it for a long time, and said, there's about 4 other people. I think I can hedge my bets with this. And God calls you out on that every time. And so, I said, yes, why not? And, I was sitting on our back deck and, looking at a Matthew Henry commentary of all things. And I was like, I could really do this every day. And that was kind of like that solid piece of saying, okay, let's do this. Long story short, the other candidates, within circumstances, decided to stay where they were or everything else. And so I was selected to candidate here, and went through that process, and it was wonderful and beautiful, and came on in February, but finished out the school year to come on full time in June of 2018. And it was in August of 2018 that I had an MRI, and they realized that I had a ping pong ball sized brain tumor. And so that was like the first big test within ministry of saying, okay, you stepped out into this, you left your leave time, you left everything within education, and now you're starting this fledgling position. And now you have this, like, how are you going to introduce that? And so 17 hours of surgery and 6 weeks of recovery later, I was able to re-engage, and the church was just wonderful. I mean, it was a beautiful picture of what the church was about, coming along beside my wife and I, and just being with us as I was with them, and we just had this beautiful bond that was forming within that. And then, I like to joke that I haven't had any regular years of ministry. As we all know, we've had COVID and we've had this. And so, ministry doesn't look the same day in and day out, and hasn't looked the same year in and year out. So it's just been a wonderful process to be able to serve within this church.
Oh my gosh. That's incredible. I didn't know about the whole brain tumor thing. So was the tumor benign then?
Yes. Yep. It was a
Okay.
benign tumor, but it was large. So they weren't able to preserve any of the auditory nerve. So this ear has nothing going on with it. It looks good. It hangs my hat up, but in terms of hearing, it does absolutely nothing.
And you're already in sign language, so
Yes, that was much smoother of a transition to know what you do if you can't hear something. So sitting
right.
on the right side of the table with people, or, making sure to position myself, if we're talking, or, in a crowded space, to make sure that I can tone in to hear you and not be drowned out by everything going around.
Now, do you sign when you preach? I'm just curious.
No. There's been times that I have done stuff, within ministry with sign, but not in terms of preaching. I have worked pretty closely with the deaf church that's out of Olathe, where Kansas School for the Deaf is, and we've worked with them, as I worked with them from the school side, and then transitioned to the church side, getting connected with the churches that are up there.
Okay. Okay. How far is that from you? I wasn't.
Right at about 90
Oh,
minutes.
okay. Okay. I was just curious about signing if that's, you know, obviously that makes communicating with your in-laws easier, but I just was curious there. Wow. What a story. What, what a testimony. Wow.
Yeah.
Um so you've gone through the first year and a pandemic. You've had a brain tumor. Oh, wow. And then your kids.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Between that, we had our 3 children, and, they're 4, 2, and 1, and the youngest 2 are a year and 6 days apart, so they are, as close as twins and as fierce as enemies on some days,
I bet they are.
because they're just right at that age, and they're both girls, and, I mean, they love to pester one another and love one another in the same moment, so it's
Mm,
it's, exciting and never ending.
wow. Wow. Um, yeah, I mean, kids are great.
Oh,
Kids are
yeah.
great. And I'm sure that they must have lots of grandmas, grandpas, aunties, uncles, by extension, being there in the church. I remember when my youngest, was I think she was 5 when I was called to my first church, and you know, no, she was 4. She was 4 when I was called to my first church. So there she was, and could really. do no wrong. Because my other two were a little bit older, but and how many people, she had wrapped around her finger.
Oh,
So
no. They've
I'm
got a village and they
Mhm.
know where to go, and I mean, during, our fellowship time, they'll run throughout the building and just say hi to everybody, and, sometimes it's, "Hey, make sure you find me at some point before service starts, because I won't see you otherwise," and,
Right.
they're off bebopping doing their thing, and
Yeah.
it's
That's fantastic. And then when I met you for the first time at Perry Pastors, you were telling me about this ministry, which I'm assuming has something to do with what's going on behind you, maybe?
Yes, yes. Where I'm at is actually in our storeroom, and if the motion sickness, it goes all the
No,
way
that's
that
great.
way, and then goes all the way that way. Um, I'm actually in our care cupboard hygiene pantry room, as you can see from my shirt here. Um, what we did, we used to have house a community dinner as one of the few downtown central churches. With us having a gymnasium, we housed the community supper on 17th, which 17th Street, and it was a dinner every Thursday for just anybody. No questions asked. You come, you got a plate, and it was a time of fellowship. Well, one thing we noticed was even if we stocked the restrooms the day of, by the end of that time, all the restrooms, all the paper would be out. And I mean, we're talking about the big 12-inch coreless rolls of toilet paper. And we said, what's going on? And someone kind of joked, like, we have a toilet paper thief. And then that spawned the idea, we need to have a toilet paper ministry. And so we started putting toilet paper in little sandwich baggies and just not sandwich baggies, but the brown bags, and just placing it by the door. And sure enough, they were taken week in and week out. Well, when that ministry kind of found a sunset just because of grants and availability, we we're sitting back and we were just thinking about other avenues of ministry that we would go to, and there's several food pantries in town, and we didn't want to compete for the same resources, grant money. We didn't want you to have to come to us for the bun, go to somebody else for the patty, and then go to somebody else for the lettuce, just so you could piece together a meal. And so we said we don't want to go food pantry wise because there's plenty. And so we were praying about it, and Aquila Winchell, somebody who attends here, actually has a friend who grew up within this church who has another hygiene pantry out in Wichita, and we got connected with her, talking with her. We toured that facility, and we talked with some local individuals here who really echoed the toilet paper shortage, because everything within this room is not covered under assistance, aid, SNAP benefits, nothing like that. So to think you have to have exact money in order to purchase basic hygiene requirements, toilet paper of all things. So we heard testimonies of individuals in the community who would literally withhold going to the restroom until public offices and businesses open the next day, and going and using that. And it was just heartbreaking, and just kind of a- an atrocity that we said we have to find a better way to remedy and partner with the community. And so that's where Care Cupboard started. Um, and so what we do is we give away 6 rolls of toilet paper, 2 bars of soap, shampoo, toothpaste, and laundry detergent in what we call an essential kit. And then, as you can see here, this would be the form that someone would fill out. And there's a list of 17 other items ranging from diapers, baby products, feminine products, tissues, razors, deodorant, that an individual can pick from too. And they would get all of that in the essential kit that would help them hopefully have more money at the end of the month or be able to stretch those funds towards the end of the month. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful process. We just started our 3rd year of Care Cupboard. And so the very first time we were so excited. We had 21 families come through, and we were like, yes, we're making an impact. And within 6 months we jumped up to 100 families, and then another 6 months we hit 150. And the growth trend has continued to where we have been hitting over 250 families a month for the last 5 months, and that equates to just over 500 individuals that have been touched and served. So within our small, sub 10,000 community of Parsons, we're serving over 5% of the community, which, Parsons and Labette County by extension is about 14% of individuals live under the poverty rate. So, we're hoping to move that pendulum to lessen that number and increase the amount of just basic dignity that an individual would have.
Okay. Um, so I'm sure that there are lots of people who didn't know about the food stamp benefit, rule that it doesn't. Our family at points in our lives have received assistance. And I mean, it's hard and it's embarrassing. And if life is hard enough that you need to steal the toilet paper, then yeah, we need to we need to do something. So where do you get funding? Do you order all your supplies? Can people like go to Amazon and have it shipped to you? I mean, talk to me about
Yeah.
finances and all that stuff.
So when we started, we had a budget of 15,000, and we were like, man, we're big business. We've got to figure out money. And God has been just so in the midst of it. Because when we started, we were like, okay, how are we going to afford everything? What's going to happen? And I opened a letter that we received at the church from Rita Adams, the retired former secretary of the Central region. And she had grown up and she has connections in this community as well. And, it was just a letter from her about another board that she sits on with like the Joy Radio. And she said, I applied on your behalf. Sorry, not sorry. Here's a check for $5,000. And I went to that, one of the first board meetings, and I was just shaking. I was like, okay, I know we're talking about money, but I have to read this letter. And they were like, well, we'll get to new business later. And I'm like, forget Robert's Rules of Order. You want me to read this letter? And they were like, we're talking about money and we're stressed about it. I'm like, let me read this letter. And I read it. And at the very tail end, here's a check for 5,000. And ever since then, God has been so good in terms of making sure, funding is there. And again, fast forwarding and scaling up, we've gone from a 15,000, which we thought was big business, to our budget for 2024 is $68,000. With inflation, with increased number of people and everything else, it is definitely gone up. But my so with serving 250 individual families, right about $4,000 goes out on a distribution day, which we hand out on the 3rd Saturday of every month. So technically, here coming up will be the next Care Cupboard distribution. And all the shelves that you see behind me will be emptied, and we will start all over. We've got partnerships within the community, whether it be, financial, or, the golf course, for instance, says, I can order an extra case or two of toilet paper every month and give it to you guys. Here you go. So it's amazing to see some of those partnerships that have formed. We also have a donation box where individuals can, donate stuff. And one of the things that, we have learned and they have learned is with the quantity we buy it in, we are able to source for what you would spend $1 on, we're able to spend, 75 cents on. So, we can make it stretch a little bit farther with some of our corporate partnerships. We actually get all of our toilet paper from Fastenal, the tool company, because they have undercut everybody. I mean, even the janitorial supply companies, they have undercut them on the price of toilet paper. And we do try to make sure that everything that comes out of the pantry is dignified. It's two ply, everything is good with that. If we wouldn't personally use it, we won't give it to our friends and neighbors. Um,
Who would have ever imagined that that's where you'd be ordering toilet paper?
I know, I know. And then we've gotten connected with larger corporations, McKesson from out in Wichita, and then we're connected with the Kansas Food Bank, which is part of the Feeding America grant, which we have bought, quite a few paper products, diapers, incontinence products, and that has been the biggest boom. Initially, we figured that oh, diapers are going to be, the huge hit item. It's not. Incontinence products for adults has become the biggest thing because even within that, you can find certain assistance programs that will cover, but I've done so much learning that I didn't even know that I would do. There's the briefs kind, the actual diaper, and all of these different kinds. Well, just one kind is covered. And so if someone wants to be dignified in wearing, actual clothes and not having this huge balloon on them, those things aren't covered. So, we've been able to meet some of those dignity things. We have a washer and dryer and a set of showers on site. If anybody would be facing a water scarcity or, would just not have access to, clean clothes because some of our goals were to increase self-esteem, to increase employability, to increase some of the strain on some local businesses who are wondering why their toilet paper is disappearing, and just better serve and partner. And I really do feel like that is what we have started to do within Care Cupboard, and it has just been such a beautiful process because we're caring about the person inside and out. We have on the evenings Care Cupboard Connects, which we have about 40 individuals who come through on a Saturday morning, come back, and it's just a time of fellowship, a time of devotion, a time of worship, and the prayer requests. I mean, they're unfiltered. I mean, there is no holding back on those, and you're able to just get into the realness of individuals' lives. And um, so, I mean, even with more partnerships that we've done, we've partnered with like the community health center. We've partnered with early detection cancer screenings. We've partnered with Aetna, Medicaid. And so they'll come in on a Saturday morning and set up a table just to say, here's a one-stop shop of being able to get information, get some resources, get some clarity that you may need to have that may not have, the time or the access throughout the week.
And this is why I do this podcast, because this is community. This is what ministry is. It is giving people dignity and 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 really, like, there's hope in there. I mean, that somebody cares enough about their community to go, "Oh my gosh, they're stealing the toilet paper."
Yeah.
If you're stealing the toilet paper, it's not because you're being a jerk, it's because you have no toilet paper.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not proud of it. I did that once at work. not my current employer, but, years ago when we were those families, and going, "I have to stick a roll of toilet paper in my purse,"
Yeah.
because yeah, because,
And,
um
and not to hang too heavily on the toilet paper aspect, but I think that just the number, we actually figured it up this last week, and that's why it's so impactful to me. We are on track this year in 2023 to give out 17,000 rolls of toilet paper, which is that's a lot of paper. Um,
Yeah, yeah, and the
and
feminine hygiene products,
oh
that
my, yes.
I mean, how much that costs people a month, and you're right, with inflation and school loans coming back and, you know,
And
where there's no place to cut in anybody's budget.
and that was one that I think really lighted a fire underneath us as, kind of the board of Care Cupboard, was when the statistics started coming back, the poverty rate of Labette County being at 14%,
Mm.
um, but also, nationwide, within the United States of America, 1 in 4 women, or girls will miss school or work because of a lack of access to supplies. And I was like, that's an unacceptable statistic for America, for anywhere for that matter." And, excuse me, we actually just learned that Kansas is a little bit ahead on that, but it's 1 in 5 girls within Kansas will miss school or work because of a lack of supplies, which is still 20% of, a significant population within America, within Kansas, will miss work because of a basic
Access.
dignity hygiene
Yeah.
aspect. So that's been something huge that we've been partnering with, and we've actually been able to talk with the library, and they're starting to. They have a grant to be able to have products there as well, and it is it is amazing to see how far it has taken off, and just some of the stories about lives that have been touched with it.
Yeah, do they have to prove that they're on food stamps or anything like that? No questions asked. It just
No questions, no income guidelines, nothing like that. The only thing that we ask, we utilize the program that the Kansas Food Bank has, and they operate off of an address. So just bring us a proof of address. It doesn't even have to be local. We don't operate on a geographic radius. So we've handled people from 30 miles away to individuals who were crossing country and just stopped in to see what was happening at a church. And so there's no income requirements, there's no geographic requirements. You just come in with a proof of address. We take that down, and you pick the 3 additional items and go.
how has this changed your church?
My it has so much so just brought perspective, because sometimes we can just you can interact with an individual that is just within the community for years and never really know them, but you just know them because you're associated with them. And this has really helped to open our eyes to some of the relationships that we have that are they're living on such fragile terms. And so it's really expanded our hearts to really grieve some of the local plights that we have, and just springboarded our attack on poverty, not
Mm.
people. Um, and so we've done countless other kind of sub ministries outside of and next to Care Cupboard. We did a summer backpack food program, And so we were giving away 280 gallons of milk and 3 bags of food for children under 17 throughout the summer months. And then we actually just had a poverty simulation at the church that normally is done in schools, but it was a full simulation where you got an identity, you got a budget. We had 15 community resource places around the room that you had to go to, with work and bank and grocery and pawn shop and, all these different things just to give individuals, you know, being able to place themselves in their shoes, being on the receiving end of maybe some of the comments, some of the looks. And, we had 39 different community agencies represented and 70 individuals that went through the simulation. And it was just eye-opening.
Wow. I bet. I mean,
And
unless you've lived it.
yeah, and it's really helped us to polish our language and approach to be able to partner with some of our friends and neighbors within the community, because if I come to you and say, "Hey, Meg, are you in need?" I mean, immediately your front goes up of, "Well, no," or "Are you needy?" Like, "Whoa," like, and so, some of those flags of how could I best partner with you? How can I, come alongside you? And so, figuring out those best approaches, whether it be language, whether it be just empathetically, has just been huge. And so
Mm,
the networking aspect has just been mind-blowing of some of the things that we've been able to be connected with. The K-State Extension and Research Center is in town, and they do budgeting and culinary classes, and we've worked with them about potentially bringing some of those and scaling them
mm,
to the clientele we serve. And it's amazing to see some of the bridges that we've been able to form through this that we never even imagined happening.
yeah. If people wanted to support you, how is the best way to go about that?
Okay. Well, like I said, Care Cupboard operates, we looked at it's about 50-50, grants and, partnerships. And so, if there's any grant opportunities that feel free to send them my way. We have filled out more grants than I can shake a stick at. And then with partnerships, like I said, we can take donations of, physical product. We can take, monetary donations, and they can just be written out to Care Cupboard Hygiene Pantry, and then just mailed to the church. And we can take it, process it, give you a credit on whatever donation is
Mm,
made. We actually, within Care Cupboard, just because of whether it be legality or whether it be security, what we were able to have two sets of insurance with. Care Cupboard was able to be insured, and the church was, that we actually formed two separate 501(c)(3)s. So even though they operate in the same facility, and even though the ministry is absolutely under the umbrella of First Baptist, it does have its own separate 501(c)(3), just for cleanliness purposes and safety purposes of, the government is not looking in and like, why is the church buying so much stuff?
mhm. Right. So for those listening, those watching, in the show notes, I will put up a link to Care Cupboard's Facebook page and to First Baptist Church of Parsons, in case um, listeners, watchers, y'all want to reach out and support Care Cupboard. That it that's an amazing ministry that you've got
And
going.
I'll
And
tell you,
mm,
if anybody is in the area of Southeast Kansas on the third Saturday of the month, we would love to have anybody and everybody come and help out, because we serve from 9 to noon. So in that 3-hour window, cranking through 250 families, and most of the time it's 130 within the first hour. And so it is fun. It is excitement. I mean, just the air is just electric because like everybody's moving, everybody's doing things, and so much stuff is going out. And there's always a position, whether it be filling up bags to be able to replace stock, whether it be filling bags that people would order, whether it be just greeting them at the door, and just being able to be that face that they see, or helping them to their car. There's so many different ways to be able to serve. And we've actually had several organizations from the community come and do team building on Saturday morning with doing that, because they're like, hey, we need service hours, we need some team building. And we actually had the city commissioners, who are on all different sides of the political spectrum and agreement spectrum, come in and help fill bags. And they had a wonderful time. They and their spouses came in, and it was just a wonderful time to see civic leaders stepping in and helping to fill bags about things that are going on in the community. So it has been just a beautiful, beautiful just connectivity tool.
Yeah, yeah. It's a community. It's a community. That's what it's what we're called to do, is to go out. Well, yeah, you're bringing them back in, but you're just using the building. It's not conditional. You don't have to show up to church on Sunday in order to get the toilet paper,
Right.
kind of thing. I mean, that's just being the hands and feet of Jesus. That's just loving people like we're called to do. And that, both sides of the political aisle, and, can go, yeah, people matter. Um, and if we kept that in mind, we probably would be in a far better place than we are now.
Oh, yes.
It's just phenomenal, just phenomenal. And I'm so grateful that you came and you went, "Hey, did you forget me?" No, you didn't go like that, but that we get to tell your story. I don't want to forget the joy question. Dad, pastor, I don't want to call it entrepreneur, but community leader. All these things that you do. So, you know, what brings you joy?
Oh my. I do absolutely love seeing the just the lives touch, whether it be through care covered, through church, kind of those moments of where they feel, an individual feels just blessed and touched, and kind of the light bulb of aha coming on. And even within the poverty simulation with other organizations, realizing the connectivity, I just love seeing the networking
Yeah.
aspect, being able to make the connections, being in the know of, hey, you need to talk with so and so in order to get that to work. That being said, that can be, just exhausting at the end of the day, with having 1 year's worth of hearing. My acoustic bucks, as it's been called, I can get auditory fatigue, and I'm just like, I've been around enough people. I have got to, shut off listening for a minute. So I love running and biking. I've ran, 3 marathons, and, just enjoy getting on the bike and just being able to go for a ride, go for a run, and just, hit that euphoric point of just, oh man, nothing's bothering me. I can continue for miles like this, and
Mhm.
just be, just a time of me and God, just to be able to recenter, reconnect. And I think that is really a time that I love, and I've really come to really cherish.
See, this is why that's my favorite question. You are now episode 54, and in 54 episodes, no two people have answered that question the same.
Oh,
And
wow.
um, And I think that's what's beautiful about us being all part of the kingdom of God is that that we connect, that the things that bring us joy are are so very different. And and really, there's not a wrong answer to any of it. And so I am so grateful for you, for this ministry, and your church and your community for supporting these 250 families. And is there um, anything, are we going, yeah, this is the thing we do this well? Or do you ever think about maybe we take this further and expand it? Or is that
So I know we've talked with a couple different, communities and churches that have all asked, because within Kansas, at least according to Kansas Food Bank, we are one of 6 hygiene pantries across the state.
okay?
So, kind of being on that forefront of everything, we have gotten calls about, hey, we would like to start something like that. We would like to do something like that. And so we've been absolutely willing to, share, hey, here are the steps, here are the places we went, here are some of the, ABCs of, how to get this off the ground. There have been a couple that have said, no, we want you to do it. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, I don't know that we're ready for starting a care cupboard 2 yet.
Yeah,
But, definitely, expanding, empowering individuals to make a change within their community,
yeah,
um, has just been huge. I mean, I can't tell you how many individuals that we've talked with, we've presented to, just to share, hey, this is the idea of what's going on because the word hygiene even, I mean, how often do we use it? Even though we
mm,
know what it is,
yeah,
how often can we take for granted,
right,
that tube of toothpaste on our counter, the fact that we get a new toothbrush every so many months if we go to the dentist. We partnered with Delta Dental and got Smile kits, the little toothpaste, toothbrush, and everything, and we gave it away 1 month to individuals, and 2 young little boys came through and they picked it up and they held it close and they said, now we can have clean toothbrushes. And as warm as that made me feel, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, "What does it mean to have a dirty toothbrush?"
right.
And, just it's the little things,
Yeah,
and we've got it posted on the wall, Zechariah 4:10, "Don't despise these small beginnings, don't despise these humble beginnings, because the Lord rejoices to see the work begin."
mm,
So it may not be, 250 families, but it may be something, a toothbrush to someone who hasn't seen a new toothbrush in a couple
mm,
months.
mm,
Um, and, within working with the Kansas Food Bank, we actually get we purchase some of their salvage too, which is just big banana boxes of just odds and ends of whatever.
mm,
And if it can't be used within the pantry, we set it out on the table for individuals like hair coloring, makeup. There's been all kinds of different stuff that has come in, paper towels, and that has just been really big to say, here's some other stuff that you may not have access to or that may not be readily available, but take this because we're able to get it like for 80 cents a box. And so,
wow, wow,
with that, 80 cents, you can't even go, to the
no,
fast food joint and get a dollar menu for that anymore.
no,
And yet we
no,
get a banana box of product and things and just
wow.
applicable things for people's lives that we're able to then distribute and rehome to empower these individuals and encourage them.
Such an amazing story. Such
Yeah.
an amazing ministry. Well, I'm grateful for you and for your community, for your people, for your story, all of it, for your ministry. Folks, if you want to connect with Travis and the good people there in Parsons, Kansas, we will. The information will be in the show notes, and you know, keep keep doing what you're doing, and many blessings to you, and for those listening, watching, find that thing that brings you joy, and do it for the glory of the Lord.
Do
I
something.
mean, yeah, do something. Yeah, do something.
Get
And
back to
yeah,
living.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Get to living. Uh, Thank you so much.
Oh, you are most welcome.
Yeah. And we thank you all for listening and watching.
Yes.